I'm your host, George Karani, and today we are joined by Dev Aditya from the Ottermans Institute. Dev, please do a small intro about yourself.
Of course. So, first of all, great to be here. Thank you for having me, George. Of course, having a busy day, but always available to talk to fellow enthusiasts like yourself. And also, I'm sure people who listen to what you do. So, I'm Dev Aditya. I am the co founder and AI architect of Ottermans Institute. The AI part is probably the most interesting part of my
Yes.
work. So we develop AI teachers, and our AI teachers have supported learners in 17 countries. And beyond the teachers, we have an entire AI data sovereign system that sits in places where we work. So in that process, we also work with governments and large institutions. And today, I think we are most proud of our most recent project in Kenya. We set out to empower and make about 25,000 youth from the marginalized backgrounds AI literate in Kenya, also in line with the Kigali conference, where there is a call out for 15% of African citizens to be AI literate. And about 10 weeks ago, we set out to support 25,000 learners. But as of last weekend, we have 181,000 learners enlisted. So this is growing. We're absolutely privileged to be able to support so many learners through our AI systems, where AI is teaching AI, which I think is also cool. But great to be here.
Cool. That's a really nice introduction. And just a bit curious. How did you become interested in the AI field?
That's an interesting story. So my background is in law, right? And then I entered education, and I really love teaching, training, and upskilling people. And me and my co-founder, Dr. Paul D. Ottomans, we started this. And soon after we started it, the dreaded pandemic started, right? And in our
Yes.
journey, one of the things we understood is just giving content, videos, text, etc., only takes you to a certain level. Beyond that, you
Yeah.
need the support of a teacher or a mentor. So we set up a system. Pandemic happened. We started helping people. We got more trainers. We even got volunteers. But at some point, we just couldn't scale more. We were doing about 35,000 learners, right? So at that time, we said, a teacher is intelligent. Normal software can't do this. So let's try
Yes.
AI. Luckily, our first try was a success. So in January of 2021, we launched our first AI teacher that taught in refugee camps in UNHCR backed BCF camps in Iraq. And then the rest is history. That really showed us the importance of our work. I still remember our first student. Her name was Aisha. It took her 16 minutes to figure out how to use the system because it was very new at that time. But after about 16 minutes, she spoke to our AI and she just looked up at us. We were looking at her through a webcam, just like this. And she looked up at
Yes.
us and said, "She speaks to me." That's because our AI was also female, right? And then fast forward
Yes.
to today, we have version 3 of our AI teachers. And from our own experience, I'm not somebody who did research before. We cracked this first, then I got into proper AI research and PhD. And today, starting from this very different route, I was, for instance, this year named as the Young AI Innovator Europe at the AI Summit London. So it's really good to see not only the impact we're making, not only that we are being appreciated at this stage, but also to really prove that you can, when you want to make a difference, you can start from any route as long as you know as long as you're focused on achieving what you want to achieve.
That's a pretty awesome story.
Thank you.
So um, now, as part of Ottoman's vision to empower youth in marginalized areas, um, we see Africa being like a hub for the youth. Like 60% of the population in Africa is the youth, and we are seeing like trends saying that the Africa digital skills gap could contribute. up to 130 billion GDP by 2030. So what how do you think AI education will drive this economic momentum?
Well, there is an even bigger number to begin with. By 2050, digital economy is supposed to do 700 billion in Africa, right?
Yes.
It's the
Yes.
opportunity, right? It's not just an opportunity in the sense of the word, but it is an opportunity for the continent, because Africa is the only growing continent. You've got 600 million youth, right? The opportunity is
Yes.
immense. What is lacking is the penetration of the right skill sets. I think, given the right skill sets, digital literacy, AI literacy, which we are focusing on, can really help transcend individuals to countries, moving beyond the layer one of the economy, moving beyond, farming cocoa beans to actually adding value and going into the higher value chains. And
Yeah.
there's actually an opportunity here again, because you have less legacy systems, the change can be fast. So it can actually be a
Yes.
leapfrog moment for Africa, and we've seen it time and time again. Vietnam, for instance, because of the conflict, they sort of missed out on the landline part of it, but they quickly jumped straight into mobile, right? And today they have faster internet than a lot of places in Europe. So this is the
Yes.
opportunity. The same thing with AI literacy. You can see the speed. We tried 25,000, we are at 181,000 in just 10 weeks. And the appetite is there. And again, the opportunity is there, because if we really get it right, Africa can and will have the highest per capita AI literate population, just because of its sheer
Yes.
size and growth. So I think these are some of the things that we should be really focusing on, right? And I think everything that is coming up, in everything that is in front of us, has and is poised to benefit Africa, right? Because of all of these
Yes.
other factors that are aligning. So we need to really focus in on that. And if I have to be a little bit strict about this, we should also make sure we don't mess it up, because
Yes.
this convolution of so many factors together doesn't happen. It's a once in a lifetime thing.
Yes. So, there was an interesting topic that I saw that, I have had this topic a few, like, some many times, and, it's quite interesting to see, like, how is this digital transformation, mostly in Africa, how is it shaping the future of AI? Like, since Africa now is a bit unique, we see like AI unique AI solutions are like going towards like culture, people like wanting AI to talk their local languages. So how is this digital transformation, or how is this like how is this shift happening in Africa going to affect the future of AI?
That's a very deep question. That's something that we address. Okay. We talked about the youth. We talked about the sheer size. We talked about the opportunity. Uh, and Africa is not a bit unique. It is extremely unique, right? You've got
Yes.
54, 55 countries, depending on which sort of accord you look at. You've got,
Yes.
um, you know, thousands of languages. Forget about the dialects. Okay. And there is a problem, which again, any problem, the opposite of that is a solution. As of December last year, we had a MIT report of only 4% of the major data used to train these frontier models came from Africa. So it's not even represented, right? It's the Wikipedia problem
Yes.
again. But
Yes.
I think getting AI right here is going to enrich, right, AI as a whole, because this entire piece is missing, right? And whoever is able
Yes.
to do that, we're certainly trying to do it, will really give a different shape to AI. Because just imagine you've got all of these languages, dialects, cultures also now influencing how AI behaves. Right? I think that is a very big piece in itself. And also getting it right with AI will help serve the right people, right, across the continent.
Yes.
And then the impact potential of that is also immense. It could be as big as most. of the technological breakthroughs we've had in the last 3 decades in one. Okay. And
Yes.
coupling that with actual impact, real world impact, I think that's the story, because everything that traditional software couldn't do, AI can do. And we have to be a bit clever with it. I'll just give you one example. One of the biggest pain points in the continent still remains connectivity, right? In some places, you're still
Yeah.
connected, but you have less than 1 Mbps of data. Doesn't help anybody.
Yeah.
We are the first and only learning AI, native learning AI solution in the world that works offline, right? So obviously, we can get to places where people don't even Google. And these are the
Yes.
kind of things we can do because AI can now teach people, can give everybody a teacher in their pocket. Software couldn't do it. Software without the internet can't do it. We can do it. So it's AI with a
Yes.
little bit of clever engineering and understanding the pain points. I think that's where the real eruption can happen from a Africa at the center point of discussion.
Yes. So that's a really cool solution to the problem of connectivity, because when you're here, I think like even like an entrepreneur, when you're trying to build a solution, I think the first thing everybody will say, how will a person within the rural areas get access to your solution. So can you give us an example of how AI is being used within like a localized scenario, like within those marginalized areas?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll give you a couple, right? So we obviously started in Kenya with the AI literacy project, right?
Yes.
Um, that led on to the government of Niamira getting in touch with us, and now we are aiming to serve 41,000 learners for them. We all know
Yes.
Niamira is not a city area, right?
Yes.
It's fairly remote. And when you're talking about 41,000 learners, you're also going into their remoter corners. Okay, so that's one example. We are talking to the
Yes.
Tibet ministry now to upskill farmers, right, on climate change, on new crop diseases. Again, in areas where connectivity is low, even literacy is low, but because it's
Yes.
voice first, they can learn with this system. We are now going
Yes.
to start a project to do 10% upskilling, 10% of the population of Sao Tome and Principe, island nation, small nation. Again, that's an example. And in November,
Yes.
I think we are starting 3 to 5,000 learners in Nigeria. These are in displaced persons camps. Okay. So
Yes.
these are, I think, just some of the examples. And this is still, sorry, just scratching the surface. This can really go even more deeper in the last mile.
Yes. So um, let's talk about like some of the you know beyond like economic benefits, some of the like social and environmental benefits for that are coming from the AI transformation. Um, what are these kind of social benefits that you have seen within the Ottermans Institute in your program?
So, firstly, I think again, see, AI can solve things that have not been solved before. Otherwise, nobody would be
Yes.
excited about this technology. One of the primary reasons is AI can sift through and understand or make sense of data faster than any human can. Okay, so lots of other use cases apart from education. You're talking about climate change data, you're talking about real, governance data, flagging systems, anti-money laundering, many other things it can be used in. Okay.
Yes.
From our standpoint, it is now enabling people to have a teacher in their pocket. Compare that to setting up schools. It takes ages, it
Yeah.
takes more capital and ends up serving a couple of students to a couple of hundred students. So scalability also comes in. Our own system is built on inclusivity first and accessibility. So it's offline AI. It works in places where you may not be able to even watch YouTube. Okay. But two
Yes.
byproducts of that is it's much more private. And when you go deeper, you talk to people who are more vulnerable populations. So private data doesn't need to leave their device. I'm not saying how safe the cloud is. The private data doesn't need to leave the device. which also means
Yes.
the AI primarily, when you ask it questions and interact with it, works on the device. So it's not hitting data centers, right? So also it
Yes.
makes it the greenest AI out there because you don't have that
Yes.
carbon emission. So at least for the inference, which is the biggest sort of carbon emission. So every time you ask a question to chat GPT, it goes to the cloud, gets the answer, comes back, comes carbon. In our case, it's in your device, so that doesn't happen.
Yes. So, what are the trends that you have seen within the within the technology sides? Since like 2021 to 2025, and you um, how are these trends shaping the future?
Well, one of the things I always hear, I think for you and your audience, it's clear AI is here to stay. I think it
Yeah,
was always here to stay whenever you have a technology breakthrough, but it's certainly here to stay. I think it's the new sort of electricity in the world of tech. It goes hand in hand with anything else new that you're building, almost anything.
yeah,
But I think most importantly, what we are going to get into is a phase of democratization of access and then democratization of resources. So you can now get an AI teacher for a month for what you would have to pay a teacher an hour, right? And that's going to further fall
yes,
down. The same thing with flagging systems, etc. So you're having huge value creation, you're having huge access. But the reason you're having that is because it's becoming cheaper, easier, faster to do, and done by machines. So then the byproduct of that is, where do all the jobs go? That's a question we
yeah,
need to answer. But I think Africa is very uniquely poised here because a lot of the jobs this thing is taking may not even exist in some of the countries, right? So it
yeah,
opens us up. But I think there is a call here for self decision making and entrepreneurship. I think that can help. A lot of Africa, for instance, has the highest number of small scale women entrepreneurs. Is because they hustle to make their times meet. That was a necessity. I think with that culture, with the youth, with the accessibility of technology, we can have a lot of more entrepreneurs now, high scale entrepreneurs, and very difficult to sort of predict where that will go, but it certainly looks like a bright future if people go down this route, right? And the other interesting part is Africa is so unique. If you get it right, your entrepreneurs understand your problems and how to solve them rather than somebody else coming from the outside. And even for us, when we solve problems in Africa, we always do it with partners, with UNESCO,
yes,
UNDP, government, local NGOs. We've got over 100 NGOs, charities working with us now in the AI literacy piece. So it's always going to be a sort of hot pot, if I want to call it, or a cauldron of all of these things coming together. But again, if we don't mess it up, it's not even if we get it right. If we don't mess it up, this opportunity is certainly going to result in something that's highly beneficial and progressive.
yeah. That's like a really cool answer. I love the way you said that. Some of the jobs that AI is taking, are not even like maybe that are not even currently here in some of these countries.
Mhm.
And that's really true because if you see like really those communities that are marginalized, maybe things like education are not like in those areas at the moment. So I think the opportunities that will be created will be also unique. Like even like the entrepreneurs will be coming out of these areas will have unique solutions which they'll be solving. And we look at it like this population that also is being served by the AI. It's also a significant population. So there's really it really seems to be like a bright future. So the next question is currently also on the jobs. So what would you advise people like teachers who are like reluctant to using AI, and how will it support their daily routines?
Yeah, absolutely. And just touching on your last part again, right? A vast majority of people in Africa are in farming, they're in handicraft making. All right. You're talking about people who are in very uniquely African service sector. AI is not going to take those jobs, okay? Because it's not built for that. On top of it, kept the African data out of it. How is it going to replace that, right? It's more of a
Yeah.
early stage white collar work problem for the West, I think. But coming
Yes.
back to your question, play with AI as much as possible. This is for the youth. Okay, this is a very
Yes.
fast-moving technology that has is not stable yet. So keep playing. That is your biggest gain. It is not what tool you're learning because it may become defunct in 2 months' time, but it is you
Yeah.
following the journey and experiencing it. Okay, so by the time it stabilizes, you are ready. For teachers, I would say I think if I don't want to beat around the bush, I think it's almost negligence if you prevent your learners from using AI. I'll give you an example. If you have an X-ray machine and you refuse to use the X-ray machine and say, I will judge whether all the people in the accident uh, have a broken bone or not with my hands, that's negligence because you have a tool at your disposal. Please don't do that, because the other way is, for educators who are slightly older, if you remember the 1980s, most people said, don't let them use the calculator, right? They'll become dumber. Now everybody uses calculators and you are required to use Excel in your jobs. Okay. So with technology, jobs change, and we need to also look at what the employer wants to see. You may be the greatest writer of an email, but as an employer, I would want you to write 100 emails using AI and your skills. Okay. So
Yes.
that's the balance we need to have. We need to be forward thinking. Where is the world going? And end of the day, what does education give you? It gives you the opportunity to be successful, and at the center of that is a job or a way of earning a livelihood, right? So we need to be looking forward and anticipating that world rather than saying something is new, it wasn't done that way, so we shouldn't do it. I think that's negligence.
Yes. Cool. So, what do you think? Where do you see the program going within the next 5 years? Since now there's a growing need, and there's a growing hunger for AI skills being learned. So, where do you see?
Our program.
Yes.
See, we work in a lot of verticals, right? We do farmer training, school training. We just talked to a professor of University of Nairobi. That's why I started this podcast a bit late. We are now working with a couple of schools across some counties like Kisumu, etc. So we work in a lot of different levels. We will be supporting a lot of people. Our mission is to upskill 750 million people by 2030. Okay, but let's just scope and hone in on the AI literacy piece. We did this to prove to governments that you can teach AI literacy within a month, and you have called for in the Kigali sort of call, right, in the African Declaration on AI. You called out that 15% of your population needs to be AI literate by the end of 2026. You didn't have the processes in place, etc. We wanted to prove that, but the way it's scaling, almost 9x of what we had hoped for, it just shows the sheer appetite and the will to learn. Okay, if I have it the right way, if I have the right partners, if and we are having so much, then I would really want to scale it and flip the script, which is coming back to my original point. In 5 years, I think we can, especially going offline, etc., upskill the majority of the African youth, and by doing that you could have the most AI literate population in the world. I think it's absolutely possible. It's about a lot of us working together, aligning, not wasting too much time on decision making but more on implementation, because now the system works.
So, um, so among different stakeholders. So, what are the kind of challenges that you are faced, basically when you're moving like to new regions?
To you,
When you are scaling into new regions.
I, I think a lot of it is doubt. All right, a lot of it is doubt without
Yes.
understanding it, which is natural. So I think there is an education piece. When you can clearly articulate and explain what it is about, show them, I think things move faster. Sometimes decision making takes longer because that's how it's been done. We know it can be done faster. Again, showing them that. But every time we are in a place after those initial weeks, it gets faster. And at the end of the day, everybody likes to back a winning horse. I'm not saying we are the winning horse. What I'm saying is that's what the people are saying, right?
Yes.
When you have 8 to 9x people, we are not advertising, we're not marketing. People are just coming on their own. People can see that there is a will to learn. And that's when everybody comes in line and wants to support, because everybody at the end of the day wants to support something that is truly creating impact, not something out of a paper or a thesis, right? So I think we are lucky in that way.
Yes. So, um, with the population in Africa being mostly of youth, so what is the impact that you have seen with the program within the African rural grassroots?
Long term impact is too sort of difficult to predict because everything is new. AI, this era of AI is new. Our program is also fairly new. It's 2025, right? But some of the things that we have seen already are, we have people who are now already getting certificates on AI literacy. So they know more than people in the US and UK who don't have that national AI literacy yet. It's backed by the UNESCO framework. So it's also not something that's light, it's something heavy. We now have partners who are coming in to give placements to our students to tech companies. All right. That's a real tangible benefit. They're learning tech, AI, and going and having the opportunity to go into local tech companies, which means they're getting job opportunities. Kenya is having a period of jobless growth that helps. The youth need that help, but also the companies. They're now getting people who actually understand AI at a more fundamental level. Okay, this is another example. I think the third example is also the sheer momentum. As more partners come in, the expansiveness of what we are doing only increases. And this is level one, because we'll obviously have more programs, etc., later for people to do deeper dives in, have more connections, right, with more employers, more opportunities. Employability training we already do with AI, that's there, but maybe we'll start entrepreneurship training. So there is a lot more, but there is genuine impact that is already being created, and we're talking about in weeks, right? So it's very promising, at least.
Yes, really interesting. And you know, as the landscape is evolving, what have been the biggest challenges within the marginalized communities that you have had in order to have truly inclusive and equitable education?
See, the marginalized populations are always willing to learn, and they're always happy to work with somebody else. That's not never the problem. The problem is they've just had historically too many barriers. Okay. So we've removed the internet aspect. Our systems work in 2021 Oppo phones, all right, Android phones. But still, it doesn't, it works in 8 out of 10 Android phones. Two, it still doesn't work. Okay. So there are these small nuances that we are always looking at, and whenever we are getting feedback, we are improving to get there. So at one point we will be able to support everybody through whatever devices there is. There is also the other problem of not having any device at all. We are already actively working on it with funders, etc. But in essence, I think we are deeper than any single organization of our type or size in the world, but we are not perfect. There is a lot more to go there, but there is certainly at least 8 or 9 levels of depth that we can still reach, and I think that's exciting as well.
So um, you know, with different partnerships and maybe growing innovation within like African landscape. What metrics have been the most important to measure impact?
See, again, as I said, longitudinal data is not fully baked yet. Short term, I think one of the most important ones is engagement and completion rates. If people don't engage and complete, it's futile. We've got over 95%, right? Globally, for online learning, that's 7 to 14%. We have 95%, and that too offline as well. Okay, I think that's very important. Another very important aspect could be what you derive out of the data. Example, if they're speaking more to the AI in English curricula, functional English improves, social skill improves. So it's how you dissect the data. Okay, so a lot of short-term gains, especially in traditional pain points of engagement, completion, accessibility at different hours and times, right? The whole data analytics piece. Now you know what people are asking, not just monitoring what they are doing. So these are all great points. Longitudinal data will also be highly beneficial. I'm sure about that. And from an inclusive standpoint, we also have now 18 features we've added for SEN learners. We work with Cavendish Group, which is one of the UK's largest private SEN school groups. And SEN requirements are the same across the world. So this is again just transcending and cascading into Kenya, and hopefully we're benefiting people who would otherwise struggle to learn in a digital setting.
Yes. So I think this is really cool solution, and I think also like what do you envision a future where you collaborate with educational institutions directly to help them with their educational programs?
You broke off slightly there, but from the point of educational institutions, we absolutely work with them. We work with universities, we work with schools. I just told you we spoke to 4 schools today to start working with them. TVET ministry, we have a very good relationship with. We have MOU with Strathmore University, University of Nairobi. We work very closely with Kuya Catholic University of East Africa. So always it's a partnership model that we use. We walk in with partners who understand the local system, the content, etc., better than us. We give them something that they may have a lesser understanding of, and together we are always looking to make bigger and deeper impact. It's not a one person show, it's not a one organization show. So impact organizations, funding organizations, governments, educational institutions, everybody we invite, and we work together, NGOs, CBOs, to create the impact that we need to.
So can you maybe share a story from your program where you saw the real depth of impact?
No, as I told you, employment, right? So I'll give a different example. I think now
Yeah.
2 years ago, we were able to continue the education of learners in Palestine. As you know, there is a conflict there. So they suddenly overnight they couldn't go to university. We allowed them to continue studying and being taught, not just reading, right? I
Yes.
know for a fact one of those learners who is in LinkedIn now has an IT job. Okay, so
Yes.
these are some of the sort of it's still small scale, but real impact that we see, and brings a smile to our face.
Yes. So I think like now, as you said, AI is here to stay, and also like you also gave out examples of different industries where you have also like added AI, like the farming industry. So you know other than the young population, maybe here even here in Africa, how is the other population of the older guys? What is that importance for them to start like familiarizing themselves with AI skills?
I'll tell you something interesting. I think it'll sum up what you're asking. We also do teacher training.
Yes.
Okay. So in the first ever teacher training we did, the average age was 36. All right. And we
Yes.
expected the engagement and completion rates to be down because they were not also, all of them were not fully digital native. Okay.
Yes.
What we ended up was with a similar engagement rate and on average 4 questions asked by each teacher per session to the AI. And what we found out was you put these teachers in a room, they'll ask one question because they're a group of
Yes.
experts sitting together. In front of the AI, they are actually opening up in that safe space. So, given the opportunity, it absolutely works. I think just trying it for the first time is where the barrier is. And that's a human barrier. We are not
Yes.
always very accustomed to change. But when you get in there, end of the day, it's a more human way of doing it. We are voice first. That's how we communicate. Okay, you don't have to type, you don't need to learn shift and at the rate and all of that, right? It's conversational. So you just need to get in
Yes.
there, try it for the first time, and then it works.
Yes. So, um, within since 2020, we have seen a lot of improvements towards technology. How has that been from your side now as the person building the tech?
As I always say, when I started, we were in old AI. Okay, so we were
Yes.
shoveling snow with broken sticks, right? Now you have real top quality shovels. So, in fact, if
Yes.
you're an entrepreneur trying to start with AI right now, there is no excuse. You've got hundreds of open source models, whatever else you may need. So, it's certainly gotten easier, but we are currently in the sort of valley of death as well. A lot of the startups will die because it's gotten easier. A lot of the problems have been solved. Some of these companies were there to solve those problems, but now they are not irrelevant. And a lot of them promise things that could not be achieved. Like we promised things that couldn't be achieved in version 1. We are in version 3. We had to figure it out, right? So I think a lot more change is coming. It's certainly easier to do things. It's going to be volatile because we are in this valley. And then after that, we'll have stability from late 2026 onwards.
Cool. We are here and we are talking about government as a stakeholder. So, and also some of the regions where they are marginalized, they are really having real issues that are happening within those regions, like Palestine. Um, and there is also this talk about policy, and always where AI is going. So since the as Ottoman Institute is playing like a positive impact kind of side towards the technology. What do you see also your role being in towards policy creation?
Yeah, of course. See, and marginalized is not just the poster child, okay? It's just not about certain places in Africa or Palestine. We serve learners in the US, okay? If you really go into the wrong neighborhoods in the US, you will understand what marginalized is. We are supporting learners in the UK. SEND people, people who have special needs. I have dyslexia. We are also marginalized. A lot of technology doesn't support us, right? So marginalized is everywhere. Okay. And we
Yes.
obviously, that's our goal. That's who we exist to serve. And that's why we do that. We absolutely work in policy. That's not our job. We contribute in it. And we are very research led. So I think in the last 3 weeks, we've had 2 papers published in the UNESCO journal, specifically for Kenya, which again is talking about, at least in the policy direction. One is talking about this entire change in the last 5 years, AI in education. The other one is more forward looking, which is talking about how could AI from a policy standpoint be used to solve one of the bigger problems in the, at least in the school education space in Kenya, which is your student to teacher ratio. You've got too few
Yes.
teachers and too many students, right? So yes, we always contribute there. It's not our primary job, but given our passion and expertise for it, we contribute when invited, and sometimes when we, because we are research led, when we find something that can be of value to policy, we publish it in papers.
Cool, and it's interesting, to learn that you're also research led. One of the things about AI, I think like one of the innovations about it is also like now we are seeing models doing thinking, research. You know what? How do you think now that with this digital transformation, how is the AI supporting you to build more better solutions for the marginalized youth?
See, as I said, you've got tons more AI right now, right? You want to experiment quickly, you can understand a hypothesis in a week, not in 3 months. You can put, so AI is now becoming like what software has become. So you have a lot of packages, you have a lot of libraries, etc. You've got models that you can play with. I think that's the real game changer here. So certainly it helps us. I think end of the day, for an organization like us, it comes down to efficiency and time, and it's certainly playing a role, but it will do a lot more in the future, because a lot of things like real agents are still an idea. They're not really hitting hard, but they will come. They will come.
So, how do you encourage engagement and completion of the program for the youth?
I think a lot of it is to do with the system. Okay, when they start the system, they really like the system, and because they can talk to it, it just flows on its own. We obviously have certifications, all right, that helps, but it's mostly to do with the system. And again, if you are a SEND student, etc., you can change the system, you can change the background, you can change the fonts, you can change the speed of delivery. Okay, these are things we do for SEND learners. So it's that inclusivity, the ability to converse and interact, not one directional, I think has the most sort of role to play in our courses. Of course, we have things like certification, and we also always work with partners. So if you're a learner, we may be working with your college, or we may be working with the NGO that's supporting you. That also helps, right? So yeah, it's again all rounded.
So that's really nice that you're working with colleges. And one of the things that I've seen within like the Kenyan landscape is there's a lot of unemployment after like higher education. So how are you supporting graduates? And this is a really cool question because the people that you're targeting are between 16
See,
and 25.
we are working with TVET colleges. Niamera County, everybody is from TVET colleges. That's what the government wanted. Okay, uh,
Yes.
these will be the first 41,000 people, if they complete, to have AI literacy courses in certificates in Kenya. What do you think is their opportunity in the IT sector? It's high. Okay. The second
Yes.
thing I just spoke to you about, we've already got companies, many of them, who are looking at placements from our learners, right? And there will be more. There will be a lot more. Our biggest program globally is employability skills training, because that's another place where you have an economic problem like this. People get stuck because you have the right credentials, but you can't crack the interview. We teach you those skills as well. There
Yes.
are wider aspects here. The wider aspects is you just don't have that many white collar jobs as compared to the economic value and the population growth, right? But I think that will sort of open up, and this is the opportunity for entrepreneurship and other things, which again our skills can help you understand,
Yes.
because you are learning skills that will help you build services or products using the latest technology, right? And I'm not saying it'll make you an ML engineer, but it will help you understand what AI is. And when you understand that, you can try and create your first MVP or team and get actual engineers and really make a vision come to reality.
So
Because let me explain this just for your audience as well. Even if you're
yes.
not an ML engineer, all right, the difference is this. If you were in the year 1999 and I asked you what is the internet, and you told me it's Google, you would have a problem, because you fundamentally also don't understand it. Without AI literacy, you see most people just go out there and ask them. They'll say, I don't know what AI is, or they'll say it's Chat GPT. It's not.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
solving that alone also has a lot of fundamental value, because then you understand exactly what it is, what levers should I pull, right? How can I use it? And those thoughts, just getting those thoughts rolling is also extremely, extremely beneficial.
Yeah, that's a really cool way of explaining what the program does, because most of the people who maybe are reluctant to using AI, maybe have like a pre-notion, AI is just this kind of thing, it's bad. So I think once they get like their eyes open towards like what are the capabilities of AI, how can I use it, where can I use it, and this is in their daily life kind of activities. I think that is obviously very beneficial. Um, one cool question that I have, within the youth that you serve, obviously they in like maybe some of them are in a community kind of based. Maybe some of them are using like like let's say they have like a neighbor or something who they are learning with. So how have you seen like this program help people also like be more engaged within their community and be more active within a community sense?
Not too much, right? We haven't focused that much yet, but some signals are, we have people who are recommending it to their people. That's how we are growing. That's
Yes,
certainly a community value. They're seeing value, and that's why they're sharing it, and it's a positive community behavior. All right.
yes,
The second thing is, we are getting inputs on localization. We now have two Kenyan teachers as well, Salma and Eric,
yes,
which we have designed from the localization aspect. We also understand needs like those additional device specs that we didn't think about to really make it more inclusive, to
yes,
what language after K Swahili, right, etc. So a lot of community input, a lot of interest, a lot of sharing, and I think we'll dive deeper later, right? Again, it's the beginning of the journey, and we are nowhere near perfect. It is a journey, but a journey of a lot of milestones.
yes. So so as we come to the end of the podcast, um, what are like some of the what is some of the advice to the listeners who want to make change, or some of the people who want to actively be involved within the program?
Three things. Number one, experiment with AI. That's the best thing you can do. Get it right, get it wrong. There is no wrong anyway, right? And your tool that you're
Yes,
experimenting with may change, but be with the journey of AI. You suddenly can't jump from here to here and say I'm an expert. Be with the journey, then you understand better than those people. Okay, one. The
yes,
second thing is, if you really want to create impact, create an MVP and show it to people. You can also reach out to me, and we can discuss and see if it's of value, and then we can help you, and other people will help you to make that bigger. It's easier to do that today with your open source, with your Hugging Face, etc., and get a team together. That's the second one.
yes,
The third one is, again, just coming back to us. If AI literacy, if that is of importance to you, you're not getting the right content or whatever, get in touch with us. We do it through an organization, so I would ask your listeners to get in touch with you, and if you let us know, if you've got 100 people or so, we will put them as a separate organization. Always happy to help. And again, it's for free until at least December. So if you want it, just let us know, but they should come through you, and then you can send me an Excel. But always happy to help. And you know it's just about, don't be hesitant, be open minded. I think that's what I'll end with in the age of AI.
great. Thank you, Dev, for being part of this conversation. There was some great learnings within today's podcast. I think my message also to the people is, don't people should not be ignorant towards AI, and the digital transformation that is happening in Africa. So, Africa is going to be the next big thing within the next few years. And, we, organizations like the Ottermans Institute are making that happen currently. So, any of the listeners who have any questions and any ideas they would like to share, I'll link the Ottomans Institute website on our description, and you can reach out to us over there. Thank you for being part of this conversation, Dev. Let's see you another time.
Thank you
Any
so much.
last?
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.